Welcome to one of the off-season editions of Dolphins in Depth. I'm your host, Miami Herald columnist Omar Kelly. Joining me from Mobile, Alabama, and I hope he's had some Southern Cajun seafood, is Isaiah
Uh,
Smalls. Yeah, man. Have you ever been to Winslow's?
yeah, I was there. Look, I went there last year with Perk and D Led. So this year, um, I went back by myself. I think that
Oh,
I go.
I eat there. I
I,
think I eat there daily. What you talking
yeah,
about? Like you
daily
got
is a little bit crazy. Daily is a
no,
little bit
no, no.
crazy.
I know what I like. I know what I like. Uh, Cajun seafood sits at the very upper echelon of what I
Hmm.
like. Then comes
Okay,
sushi. You know what I'm saying?
okay.
So
I'm not mad at
you
that.
mix you mix seafood in case so out New Orleans and then Alabama. They want to rival with New Orleans for that Southern Cape. That especially Mobile.
Yeah,
And
no, 100%.
they always have
100%.
Mardi Gras.
Yes, it's about that time too. I'm
They're
definitely
getting ready
going.
for Mardi Gras. Yeah.
I'm definitely grabbing. There's this place here called Mojo's that has like turkey legs, like real big turkey legs. And last year I got it like smothered with like a shrimp jambalaya pasta situation. Look, man, that joint was so good that it made it back to Miami with me. I was on the plane just picking at it, just picking at it. That joint was fire. I need to grab that joint before I leave.
It definitely good eats in Mobile. Also good players, Isaiah. Tell me some guys who you've said to yourself, I gotta do some research on him.
Kalen Rutledge was a guy that immediately stood out to me. I don't know why,
School
but
position, please.
oh,
You
school
gotta give me
Georgia Tech, Georgia Tech offensive lineman specifically. I see him as a guard at the next level. He just has a mean streak about him that I just fell in love with on day one. He literally drove a guy into the ground, and the play was going the opposite way, right? And I saw, obviously, I mean, I'm not on the field, but ESPN's Jordan Reed, I believe, overheard some coaches telling him, "Hey, man, like these are your teammates. Tone it down a little bit, right?" But I talked to him
Devin.
afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I talked to him afterwards, and he said, "Look, like toughness is my calling card, right? Like I don't believe as an offensive lineman that I'm just supposed to block a guy. I'm supposed to drive him into the ground."
You're supposed to dominate him. Let him know you're gonna be here all game long. Sign me up, Isaiah. The film's gotta match up, but
100%. Yes, yes. But just from that alone was great. Obviously, there's been some good edge rushers. Zion Young from Missouri, he kind of embarrassed one of our own Hurricanes and Markel Bell that first day.
yeah,
But
I've seen that
you saw
clip.
the
I've
footage.
seen
But
that
what you
clip a
haven't.
lot.
But I was about to say you didn't see the follow up clip. I talked to him about that yesterday. The follow up clip, he locked Buddy up. So like they need to start circulating that one board too. But look, he said it's all part of the game. Good rep by him, bad rep by me. But I I locked him up the next one. So
Hey,
uh,
listen, I'm gonna be real with you.
mm,
When you give up the Senior Bowl social media highlight, you're gonna lose a couple thousand. I'm gonna be real with you. It is what it is. The film gonna have to match up. You're gonna get scrutinized a little heavy at the combine.
oh
They're
yeah,
gonna
of
be
course.
like, yeah, yeah. You can't. That's a bad rep to have, but you know, you can't lead. You can't be the film they show for the preview of the Senior Bowl. You
Yeah,
can't be on that
nah.
highlight.
No, you can't be on that highlight tape. I like I believe Derek Moore out of Michigan. He has shown some stuff. Yesterday I mainly looked at wide receivers and cornerbacks. So I like what I saw out of Malachi Fields from Notre Dame. He had that phenomenal catch. I don't know if you saw it. It was maybe a 60-yard bomb from Taylon Green, who I'll come back to, right?
Yeah,
Sixty
please do
yard
come back.
bomb from 60-yard bomb from Taylon Green. And what I liked about that play, just watching it live, is that it didn't look like it was on target at first, but he found the ball in the air, adjusted his speed, and got there. Right, that to
Right.
me, deep ball tracking is paramount to me, especially at that next level. I like what I saw out of Davison Igbinosun from Ohio State. He sometimes gets a little handsy at cornerback, but it's I like what I saw. He's had some very sticky coverage, some PBUs yesterday, excuse me. Let's see. I like Ted Hurst from Georgia State. I'm gonna have to see how he fares today against some of the better cornerbacks. Who else has stood out to me? And then let's talk about Taylor Green for a second, because I
Please.
think he's very, very intriguing as a prospect. But yesterday was kind of the full gamut of the Taylor Green experience, right? He has a beautiful 60-yard bomb that he throws off of one leg. But then a few plays later, he's trying to play hero ball and throws an interception during the scrimmage portion of practice. And to me, and then in between that, he has a scramble where he gets maybe 25 yards in a matter of 5 steps, because just that's how long his strides are. He's every bit of 6'6". He's looks low key like a receiver in terms of his build, right? But when you see
That's
him
not
moving, he
good.
glides. He glides. Look, he glides like a gazelle. I cannot lie to you. People that big are not
Okay,
supposed to be
long
that fast.
striding there's a difference between the long striders
Mm,
and the people who can scramble and make people miss. And you made me watch a little bit of his film and his cut ups, and there are a couple of things that I noticed. Outside of the ridiculous amount of interceptions he's thrown throughout his career,
yes,
I didn't
I don't like
I
that at
didn't
all.
I didn't get into that. I'm like, I'm just trying to see what you could potentially be without looking at your warts. I did have issues with basically a one read quarterback. He's going to take the first thing that he sees. He does not throw what I call big boy passes. I would love to see his arm live in person to see if he can throw a 15-yard out with zip. I don't think he can read a field right now because he's a mercenary. He takes the first thing he sees, and that's when he was playing for his offense, which obviously he transferred. So it's a new offense, and I get it. I'm not sure which period I'm watching him play in, but the tools are there, the size is there, the height is there. I wonder if the arm is there. It is coachable.
Hmm.
However, and I know all of these drafted quarterbacks are going to be projects. However,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know that that's a project that I would like to invest in.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
I'm not necessarily mad at that assessment. Honestly, when you talk about his throwing mechanics, it looks like there's a little bit of wasted motion just kind of in the way he throws, because it kind of just it's not as like you watch Garrett Nussmeier throw a ball, you're like, okay, like this is like I like that arm, right? But with with Taylor Green, comes it just kind of seems like there's a little bit of wasted
long
motion just
windup.
in
So
the way.
somebody
Yeah, it's
needs
a
to
long
take
windup.
a look at.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, but look, everything. I'm gonna dive deeper into his film. Once I get back, I just kind of wanted. I watched a
Hold on,
few of
hold
his
on, hold
games
on, hold
last
on.
year.
That's the quarterback. There's like six there. That's the quarterback that you feeling? Nobody else?
Garrett Nussmeier is too small for me. He is. He's barely 6'1". What I mean, what you want me to talk to you about Diego Pavia and 5'9"? Like I don't know. Like
I mean, is the
outside
ball jumping off his hands? Not to say that I would do another small quarterback because I probably wouldn't.
of
I just it's just a personal thing. I've learned my lesson.
yes,
When you go with slim thick, I mean when you go with slim shorty, slim tall shorty, one time, your next time you might want to go with little thick 'em. So I gotta I
right,
want
you're right.
something different than what I had.
I'm
Yeah.
looking for something that's different than what I already had. Right, that to me is the biggest thing, and I've heard some people talk about the Illinois kid Altmaier. Nothing. None of these quarterbacks are particularly awe-inspiring, amazing, right? Like it's just kind of meh. You know, I'm trying to think about the quarterbacks that were here last year, and if anybody in particular stood out. But slowly but surely, nobody's coming to mind. To me, like the more intriguing things is what's happening in the trenches, right? The trenches, you can kind of get a little bit of a read on wide receivers too, but to me, it's the trenches. That's the thing that is the most. Oh, I forgot one big player, Lee Hunter out of Texas Tech, defensive tackle. Man, that boy was taking on double teams and still making the play. He has a little bit of quickness to him at that interior D line spot. Good hands. I was pretty impressed, honestly, especially considering he played on such a great defense that I've said David Bailey, Romello
Yeah.
Height. Jacob
I
Rodriguez.
suspect they paying big money for the big talent now. So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
you
It
know
was it was
he's probably the
impressive.
best college player that money could buy.
Look, there is definitely some impressive things I saw from him as well, and that's why I love the Senior Bowl because you can really lay eyes on these guys and see who they are. I know last year the guy that stood out to me was Gray Zabel, and year one he's on a Super Bowl bound Seahawks offensive line, right? So
Yeah, man, you ain't worked hard enough to convince the Dolphins to draft him, Isaiah. That's
hey,
on you,
look, they
bro.
read they read you, they don't read me, they read you.
Listen, I'm sorry. I said draft Gray's Abel. I mean, listen, we are where we are. It is what it
That's real.
is.
That's
Hopefully,
real.
the next franchise will not miss on. I didn't. It's not a miss. It's just will not get it right on their
Yeah.
first round draft pick. And probably, hopefully, they can get it right with the offensive line because not give up resources for one of the worst guards in the NFL. It is what it is. We got to do better. Let's talk about this coaching staff for Jeff Hafley. Uh, there are a number of people who have been hired, Isaiah. Let's go down the list of people who have been hired before I do give my opinions, which is what people want to hear from. Your opinions as well.
Ryan
There you go. Go
Downer
ahead.
was hired as passing game coordinator. We have Jamil Ade, who's hired as cornerbacks coach. Zach Yinser, who was hired as the offensive line coach. Liddell Betts, who was hired as the running backs coach. Tyke Tolbert, who was hired as the wide receivers coach. And Wendell Davis, who was hired in the quality control unit. So those are the hires so far. Most recently was Ade, who came from the Bills. They actually poached him from the Buffalo Bills. So we'll see. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on these guys?
Bobby, did you mention Bobby Slowik?
Oh yeah, of course we have. Well, I thought we were saving Bobby Slowik when we talk about the coordinators, and then obviously Bobby Slowik got a promotion to offensive coordinator. I believe it's the second time he had this job. He was the offensive coordinator in Houston with the Texans for C.J. Stroud's rookie and I believe sophomore. No,
Second
rookie
season. Yeah.
rookie and sophomore year. So it'll be interesting to see what he does with whoever plays quarterback. Obviously CJ Stroud had a phenomenal rookie year and didn't necessarily have the best sophomore year. Obviously, sophomore slump is a thing, and then they decided to get rid of him. He winds up in Miami. I'm
Did
curious.
he help your passing game when he was in Miami?
So you mentioned whether or not Bobby Slowik has helped the passing game. I think it's very difficult to assess that considering the regression that Tua Tagovailoa showed last year. Right, there's obviously throws that he couldn't necessarily make, and so those throws seemingly disappeared from the playbook. Right. So with Quinn Ewers, you could see a little bit more, but again, that was such a small sample size, right? That who's to know if he truly 100% helped the passing game? I can say this: it didn't look. I don't think it took a step back from the previous year. I just thought it was about the same, to be honest. I'm gonna be
Uh,
honest because
no,
I
no,
was just
no, no, no. It was not the same. And obviously, when you lose Tyreek Hill, it's not going to be the
exactly
same.
like I think they were playing with the cards they were dealt. Right? Go ahead.
Yeah, but we've never been in a situation where the Dolphins had to. They should have always been a running team, but we've never been in a situation where we had to really evolve into a running team. I will say this about Bobby Slowick hire. Not impressed. It makes sense. He is part of Hafley's. He's a Hafley associate. In fact, he was on the same defensive staff with the 49ers. He was on the defensive staff with Hafley, probably working under him. The fact that he's evolved into an offensive coach, cool. I'm not giving you credit for CJ Stroud's rookie season. Even when you look at the statistics, you're still one of the back of the pack offenses. Stroud just put on a cape. Clearly, you didn't help Stroud get better. He still hasn't gotten better. That's not all your fault. But I get it with this league. It's about who you know and the connections that you have. And he's leaning on his homeboy, Kyle Shanahan, to basically help him from an offensive standpoint. But I would like to point this out to you, Isaiah, especially when you hire a defensive coach, they're going to be hands off with the offense. So I would have liked somebody a little bit more accomplished, a
I agree.
little bit more, a little bit more polished, a little bit more of a leader, a little, and let's be real about it. Not everything that was wrong with the Dolphins passing game was on Tua Tagovailoa. How many times did Tua have to say, basically, my receivers don't know what the hell they're doing, and I have to spend most of this game directing traffic and telling guys where to be and whatever. Outside of the receiver coach, whose job is that? It's the pass game coordinator. And I heard internally, all the receivers had no idea what they were doing or what route they were running or couldn't move from one position to the next position. And I know Mike McDaniel's offense is complicated, but that's not acceptable at all. At all. And no excuse for Tua Tagovailoa. His arm, his arm factored into a lot of the decline of what they could do from a passing game standpoint. They did the best that they could until they decided to pull him and make a change. We are where we are, and hopefully we've learned lessons from that. But those receivers, Isaiah, were the worst unit on the entire team. You cannot name me a unit that performed worse than the Miami Dolphins receivers. And I'm sorry, it's not just a
Uh,
receiver coach who takes responsibility for that. Tell me one.
okay. I was gonna say defensive line.
They got their act together by the end of the season. Did the receivers ever get their act together?
No. Did they get their act together by the end of the season? Or did they just play lesser competition?
I hate that. There's no such thing as lesser competition, in my
Yes, there
opinion.
is. Yes, there
No,
is. Yes,
no,
there
no,
is.
no,
Yes, you know
no.
how I know that? You know how I
The
know?
Cleveland
You know
Browns
how I
could get you. Could the Cleveland Browns get? Cleveland Browns got a lot. They were one of the worst teams in the NFL. How many teams did they get?
You're completely correct. But when we saw that schedule, right, we could say that there was a streak in there that we were like, okay, it was what it was Jets, Commanders, Falcons. We saw that and we're like, okay, they're gonna go on a win streak here, but they're gonna lose the last 3 games of
Okay,
the
we
year.
saw that after the fact. But when the
No,
season started,
no,
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 when the
no.
season
I
started,
said that.
everybody was talking about how tough that stretch is going. They were like, the beginning of the season is the easiest, except for the Patriots. We got the Colts. We got the Patriots. I mean, except for Buffalo. We got the Colts. We got the Patriots. We got the Jets. We got the Panthers. Everybody's like, oh, the Dolphins can go maybe 4-1. Man, that's opening stretch was a killer. And,
It
and, and
was.
then people were like, oh man, the middle stretch, Baltimore, Buffalo, Washington. Washington was a playoff team. Oh my God, they're going to be so good. Man, you cannot do that. I always tell people you cannot do that. Injuries will dictate what caliber of team you're going to be when you play on Sunday. And
That's fair.
when when the Dolphins lost Tyreek Hill and Tua lost his arm, they became a completely different team to play.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
it is what it is. When the Bengals didn't have Joe Burrow, they
That's
were a
correct.
completely different team to play. Even though I think they
Joe
smoked that.
Flacco.
Joe Flacco.
He turned back the clock a little bit.
Yeah,
He had a good game or
he
two.
get himself a nice little extension. Hopefully not from here because Joe Flacco's just stealing money at this point. Um, and I love Joe Flacco. Everybody knows Joe Flacco was a man crush alum for me. I fell in love with him at the Senior Bowl.
Hmm.
However, that was in 2008. Joe Flacco, sit your old behind down. Like go hold somebody's clipboard, dog. Like you keep robbing people. Don't
Oh
come here and
boy.
rob the Dolphins. Let's not do that. Um, on that note, getting back to the point, the receivers performed poorly. The passing game performed poorly. It's not all on Tua. Mike McDaniel does create the game plan. He does call plays, but who is responsible for the passing game? That would be the passing game coordinator, who his name is Bobby Slowik. And now he's your offensive coordinator. Bro, you better deliver a top 16 unit, or else I will be calling for your head because I know you're not good at your job. So, like,
Yo,
let's
off the top rope. My man's ain't even been in the job a week yet.
I am not wasting time with anybody around here.
I
How
feel
many
you.
how
I
many
feel you.
years do we have to waste around here?
That's real. I know you've been you've been on the the mediocrity merry-go-round for way too long. So you're getting a little bit fed up. This is your how what head coach is this? This is your ninth head coach?
Uh, I'm officially just counting just changes. I'm on
No, no,
12.
no, no, no. Count them interims too. Count them interims.
No, I don't count interims. You can't count
Count
interims.
the in-
No. You can't count. Like, are we going to really count Todd Bowles as the Miami Dolphins' first black head coach? No. Like, no. It's Brian Flores. Like,
Okay.
so, and like, I would love to take credit for Dan Campbell, but you
Hmm.
know, the Lions get that credit. I'm sorry, they named him a head coach. We named him an interim coach. It don't count. It's not the same thing.
That's fair.
Um,
That's fair.
but ultimately, defensive coordinator I find a little bit interesting because I think there's talk that they're still holding out on Anthony Weaver. Obviously, the Dolphins have him under contract. He was a finalist for a number of jobs. Didn't get any of them, which is not
Hmm.
really that surprising to me. Maybe might surprise you. There are still two jobs that are open. Which no, there's still two jobs that are open: the Raiders and the Cardinals. It I'd be shocked if he got either of those jobs. The Raiders job is likely supposed to go to mm, a guy who's on Seattle staff, Minter, and I have no idea what the Cardinals are doing. And you know, it's interesting that the two teams that I felt like had a worse franchise than the Dolphins are the ones that are having the hardest time finding a head coach. I don't know how many people turned down the Cleveland Browns job,
Yeah,
and
no one wanted that job.
I probably would have turned that thing down too. No sir, don't
I feel
want it.
you. I feel you.
And the Cardinals, it's like Cardinals are just as much of a mess as the Dolphins, and I don't I don't soft step it. Y'all know I'm gonna just shoot it to you straight. Dolphins are a mess. They in the press conference they acknowledge we got a mess. We got a lot of stuff to clean up over here. Like
Heck
yeah,
no.
it's gonna be a minute till we. It's like getting a buying a house at an auction and then it was a hoarder and
Yeah, it
then
was a
you got
hoarder.
hoarder.
You gotta clean out everything. You gotta
You
clean
gotta
out
clean out
everything.
everything.
You got
Get rid of the
newspapers
dog and cat
stacked to the
piss
ceiling.
smell. Like, like you know what I'm saying? It's gonna be a minute till we can work. We got something we can work with.
Of course, of course.
So that
But that being said, before we wrap up, you said that obviously there's going to be a minute for them to figure all this out. At the same time, though, there has been teams that where you hire this new coach instantly, boom, you have success, right? And I know that
hire new front office
we
instantly, boom, you have success. We're talking
exactly.
about two
So
Super Bowl teams. The Seattle Seahawks rebuilt in 2 years. The,
so what's that? So what's the
the
timeline? Do you believe
hold
the
on,
fair
the New England
timeline?
Patriots rebuilt in 2 years.
Yeah, that's
You
real.
got two teams playing in the Super Bowl that rebuilt in 2 years. You know what the key of those organizations are? One, I could tell you, and I'm writing a column about this for the Miami Herald, which you can find on Friday for Sunday's paper. These two teams that are playing in the Super Bowl are Green Bay built. They are built off the Green Bay model. Fortunately for the Miami Dolphins, oddly enough, we have hired off the Green Bay tree. We are now officially working off the Green Bay model, which works. Takes a minute, but it works. Now, for the two teams that are playing in the Super Bowl, it didn't take a minute. You know why it didn't take a minute? Because they went out and they got quarterbacks. Even feel however you want to feel about Sam Darnold, he has not led a team to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, no,
And
that's
he has
impressive.
now, I believe, had two straight 12 wins.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
Now, a huge
Wait,
reclamation
pause. Wait,
project for a lot of
pause.
teams. And if you
Pause
want,
on. Pause on that on Sam Darnold. Do you believe Sam Darnold, just off the top of your head, do you believe Sam Darnold's success is more conducive, is more because he has had two of the best receivers in the league, or is it because there's an actual skill improvement?
he's at Minnesota. No, it's a skill improvement. I believe Sam Darnold has been hardened by the lessons, the seasoning, the failures, and he started in Minnesota as a backup. He got an opportunity, and I love those guys. Like I love head coaches like that. Fail, learn what you need to learn from your failure, and then when you get your opportunity, you need to kick down that door and do it the way that you want to do it. Which is why with Jeff Hafley, I love that he has Boston College experience. I love that he failed at Boston College. Like, say whatever you want to say about it, brother. You failed. Look at your record. You failed. You failed, then you were like, all right, I'm out because I don't like this NIL. I don't like the transfer portal. I just want to coach football. Okay, but you still failed. I want those lessons that you learn from failure to benefit the Miami Dolphins. And so with coaching staffs, hire who you want to hire. I don't
Mhm.
care. Like Brian Duker's going to be the Jets defensive coordinator right now.
I did see that.
Aaron Glenn fired like his entire staff.
Mhm.
Like I think it might be 5 people left over, and justifiably so. You know why? Because they sucked.
They sucked. Yeah, they were
Um,
terrible last year.
yeah, they were terrible last year, and it wasn't just a quarterback; they were just terrible. And then they traded their whole team. So, you know, Aaron Glenn, when you fail, you better be able to say I failed on my own terms. Like I'm just being real with you. That's the
Mhm.
situation. So, congrats to Brian Duker, but I will acknowledge I didn't think Brian Duker was a very good coach. Let's just keep it a buck. Not one of my favorite guys around here. Not be, hopefully wish him the best. But I Butch Barry leaves for the Chargers to join Mike McDaniel, which is very interesting. Chargers, Mike McDaniel. They've been really promoting the hell out of Mike, and Mike is an interesting,
I was about to
great
say,
character.
yeah, that's literally must see TV. I'm low key when I saw that opening press conference. That's when it's really hit me like, dang, he gone. I'm gonna low key miss this, like, because he's genuinely a good, funny guy. Like I would, and I've said it multiple times. Mike McDaniel, regardless of how you feel about the success that the Dolphins had or lack thereof, like he's still a cool guy, a guy that was great for our jobs, right? And a guy that you wouldn't mind, obviously if he drank, having a beer with, right? So like
He doesn't
he's just
drink.
a.
Yeah, yeah.
I said if he does, I preface that with that. So I mean, like, look, like more power to him. I'm excited to see what he builds
He got that vape pen
in
because
the Chargers.
this might be before your time, but the Chargers consistently took shots at him for vaping during his game, and then on their on their promotional video
Yeah,
for the season opener, they
he
had
did
him
say
vaping.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I
and
didn't
so he's
realize
like,
that they
I
specifically
know how
took
you guys
shots.
roll, like.
I didn't realize
uh,
that they took shots at him for that consistently. I didn't know that. I
yeah,
didn't know that at all. That's funny.
absolutely, yeah. They've called out Mike for vaping on a number of occasions, and
Dang.
Mike says he has learned his lesson from that. Yeah, like,
Maybe don't vape mid game on
yeah.
3rd and 10. I get it. I get it. 3rd and 10, you need to take the edge off.
I mean,
But
he
hey,
didn't take
bro.
a little edge off. Yeah,
Hey, bro. Chill out. Chill out. You got a lot of cameras on you, bro.
yeah. So, but best of luck. But my point is, they took Butch Barry. I, hold on,
Play
Isaiah.
call. Yeah.
What'd you say?
I was just one last thing on the McDaniel Harbaugh pairing. I believe that the conservative nature of Harbaugh with like McDaniel's like out the box thinking, it's just gonna pair so well. It's like a yin and yang situation going on there. Obviously, they both love the run game, and you know, with Omarion Hampton and that nice little stable of running backs over there, like they got it's gonna be very interesting to see. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, they got to fix that offensive line. I'm a big believer in Butch Barry. That's probably why I brought him up. I know everybody deserves to build their own staff, but losing Butch Barry, considering what he turned that offensive line into last season, props to him. He's
Yeah, for
had
sure.
two very good offensive lines in Dolphins history. And good luck to him and anybody else who's going to be leaving the staff and going to other places. There were a lot of good coaches here. So I'm interested to see where they land. On that note, we got to get out of here because Isaiah's got to go evaluate some football players. Isaiah, I know you paying attention to the trenches, big dog, but you got to
Hmm.
find us some quarterbacks too, because it's a
There,
little it's a little it's a little
that
slow.
it's not going to be quarterbacks or cornerbacks, because quarterbacks, this ain't the group. Cornerbacks, I found a few options, but quarterbacks, like the signal callers, the throwers of the ball,
No,
you might
this
want to
ain't the
pass on
draft for
this one.
that. No, this
This
ain't the
ain't the
draft for that.
draft for that one. It's not.
So
It's not.
we might be riding and overpaying that Malik Willis train. We'll see how that goes, and we'll talk about that later on the next Dolphins in Depth podcast.